Okay, I'm going to be trying to do hopefully between 45 minutes and an hour of 4 tabling, which will mean a lot of it will be in my head, I guess, but I will try to do. There's a few things I want to work on basically. One of them being not trying to act instantly because, and I feel like recording will help that. I've been acting a bit too quickly, which is not very good to do, generally speaking. Like, snap checking some spots isn't going to happen when you have a decision and stuff. And when you're trying to play 4 tables and you kind of start snapping everywhere, it makes you snap in situations that you shouldn't. So we're going to try and work on that mainly. And then obviously trying to play half decently as well would be nice. One thing definitely need to mention before I start is that the player pool since quarantine has become very fishy. And that means that the way I'm approaching it is slightly tighter. I think that's the correct response. So I'm going to start with raising a hand. I'm hoping my taskbar disappears. If it doesn't, I'm going to move it to the right. This is probably going to be quite difficult actually. Folding the 8-7, giving up the 10-7. I 3-bet the 9-8 and got this board. It's quite a good board for his range. I'm going to check this a lot, but also want to get value with my overpairs and stuff. So I think I can start also on the bigger side, and then I'm going to probably give up the ace-jack. Interesting that he leads turn. I think that this is probably just going to be a fold. Can't see any reason to do anything else. I'm going to get rid of my taskbar. 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. Right. Open the ace-3, 6 to start with a call. I'm going to try not to spend too much time talking about not very close decisions. So yeah, labeling everyone with less than full because they're going to be bad, and there's loads of them at the moment. Let's just start with a call with the 6s. Still have a pretty good chance of being ahead on this turn. That's an interesting bet. He did raise under the gun. He's probably going to continue here with his overpairs and stuff. I still think we have enough equity to continue and see turns, especially with our gut shot. I expect him to slow down here, unless he does have those specific overpairs. So I'm going to check my showdown here. Yeah, go for it. Because he can definitely check there with like 10s and stuff, this player pool. 3-betting the ace-jack and winning, and 3-betting the ace-queen. Open up the kings. Yeah, this might get a little bit tough in terms of commentary, but like I said, if I start to struggle, I'll just keep it simple and use it as a call or fold the 7s. Maybe you start with a call. I think folding is probably okay there. Start with a 3-bet the ace with the king queen. Get snap. See, this is why these games are quite profitable right now. Get snap 4-bet and snap jammed by this guy who's. I'll go back and look at this once the hand's over, so I can see what people were doing that with. Hasn't shown up yet, but I'll. Okay. So yeah, gonna see if I can find it. Good flop. Don't need to bet too much. Not gonna need to protect too much. So start with a small bet. Get raised. Obviously not going anywhere with. I labeled. Well, this guy is extremely nitty, so this is concerning. I mean, even over 100 hands, that is insane. Obviously, we can't fold, but we can definitely start with a call and proceed with a fair degree of caution. Still going to be continuing here, but not loving it against this particular opponent. But he is greened, which means he's had it less than full at 1 point, so that is encouraging. And we went 3 We're going 3 barrels with this against this particular opponent. We don't want to be checking. And I think this river can be a fold. This flop is interesting. Yeah, we can fold against this opponent. This flop is interesting. We have, obviously we beat some diamondy stuff, lots of that kind of thing going on. I'm going to fold this hand against this guy. And this turn is not great. We're going to have some ace X floats on the flop, like ace of diamond stuff, so we can go ahead and just fold, pitch that one. So yeah, the player pool being weaker is going to be meaning that I'm playing tighter. So I'm looking for my stats to be, I'm going to try and isolate people. Like, look how many people. I've never tagged so many people. It's ridiculous. Don't need to tag him. But I'm just making sure everyone's tagged just in case they get above their starting stack and they're still going to be obviously worse generally. Look at, I'm literally labeling 4 people on this table. I've never labeled so many people when I play. Hoping for something interesting, or maybe even just, okay, this guy's a reg. Like, quite a good reg. Obviously can't just fold that, but I will be playing a lot tighter against him than I would be against a recreational player, because there's plenty of them, and you just don't need to take, at the moment, from what I can see, you just don't need to take too many spots against regs, because the amount of bad players that are available to play against right now is pretty exceptional. This guy leads this flop. He shouldn't have too much of that going on, calling from the small blind, but then again, it's pretty dangerous to assume anything from this kind of player. Queen of Diamonds is going to be way better for my range than his. He continues. My fairly good implied was to hit our diamond, and then I think a 10 or an 8 is also going to be good some of the time. Expect to see some checks on this river from him. 5-6 got there. I see people like this bet 7 like this. I'm really not sure what kind of hand he's representing here. I don't like to fold against this particular kind of opponent, even though I probably should. I'm going to call, just because I see them turn up with that kind of thing too much. They start with a bet that they don't really, obviously he doesn't understand what he's doing, because it's just very hard to assume anything against a player that's that bad, and he's going to be that bad quite often because of his stack size. So I called on the turn thinking that an 8 was going to be good, and then when I hit an 8, it makes sense to continue with that line of reasoning. This can be a fold or a re-raise. I think probably start with a re-raise. Just checking to protect my range on this board. I think I'm going to try and get this to showdown. And yeah, still want to get this to showdown. I'm probably going to lose to like a 5 or something, but yeah, it's fine. Just going to have a lot of that stuff, like middle pairs and stuff. Open the A7, get lots of snap folds at this level. Start with a call with the Queen Jack of Hearts, flopping the Queen, taking a flop with the 5s, hopefully. Small pairs get more value than they usually do because you're going to have more recreational players behind. So this guy checked, who's a Rissel Razor, so we're going to bet obviously to protect our hand. And this guy here is bad, probably. This guy's going to fold quite often. I have seen him before. I think he's fairly reggy, but he's playing quite tight. And I don't want to give free cards to Ace King and stuff, obviously. This guy's going to be bad, obviously, quite often as well. Limping under the gun with a short stack. So we definitely want to raise him. And then when we see balls like this, we just want to size up and start banging value. Not going to see many folds from anything that connects to the board. Obviously, we smash the board. So you could make an argument for checking there, but I think if it had been slightly more connected, like Queen Jack 8 or Queen Jack 9, I could have started with a check, but because they're more likely to barrel gut shots and things. I think that just just starting to bet is always going to be best against those particular players. Can either defend or 3-bet this hand. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at some bonuses. I'm working on a bonus right now, which I might show you in a second. This is now a fold or a 4-bet. Don't mind either, but against this particular player pool, we're not too interested in getting too frisky with our 4-bets. Get 3-bet by a green player. We are definitely going to be taking flop in position against this guy. And then just taking a call raise line here against his bluffs to keep all those in. When he checks turn, we can bet small and then go for the lot on the river. Try and keep him in with like ace highs and stuff. No, that's unfortunate. We didn't have anything, but that was the hard to have anything when we have everything. So I'll get my bonus up in a second. This board I always tend to start with a small bet on monotone boards. It's a very good turn. I 3-bet the ace king and got a fold, which is fine. Start sizing up to protect against one club hands on the turn. And for value, obviously. If people take longer, they generally don't. They generally have a tougher decision where they're not sure whether they're going to call or not, from my experience. And then I would be probably bluffing more often on the river if I saw this turn tank. Expect to see folds often. Yeah. Open ace-3 under the gun. And the 9's in the bottom left. Proper pair. I'm going to start with a bet. And then check back some turns. Calling the 7-5 in the big blind. Raising the kings and aces. Start with a call and then look to raise some turns. I'm not going to have many raises on this board, if any. And then look to raise this turn when it gets more connected. Start with a bet with the aces against a weaker player. Well, his stats seem quite reggy, but he has less than 4, which is always my barometer. So we're going to raise for value here against overpairs that he's going to have to continue with, and then we're going to just jam river. So we want to make it a size that means that a river jam is acceptable. And I'm going to be doing this also with like, obviously 7-8 that I get here with. For bluffs, it's kind of tough for me to have many actually. Maybe a bear 7 or 8 or something. Maybe that's why he folded there. But then I don't particularly enjoy checking again, especially when like a 7 could come or an 8. I'm going to start with a call here against a guy leading into me. No idea why he would be doing that. Obviously queen 10 is a concern, but I expect people to probably slow play those, especially considering my range should hit this board quite well. So I am going to raise the turn. I could have slow played that, but I don't want to see another straight card on the river, and also he shouldn't be leading into me too often with nothing, considering that range that hits my range quite well. I'm gonna be 4-bet getting it in against this opponent here, checking and giving up the ace-7 to any action. And then when we see this board, I think that we can just punt. I'm not particularly thrilled about it, but I don't want to be checking back, and I don't really want to bet small. And that's fairly normal for how I've been running recently, actually. I haven't had much luck with my all-ins, especially that kind of situation recently. If I was in position, I'd call here, but I don't like calling 3-bets out of position. He actually tank called as well, which is just sick because people like that aren't playing more than one table either. But whatever. This guy's an absolute nit. And then, button against big blind, I just don't see how this can be anything but a jam. I don't want to call out a position. I don't want to fold, so just going in. And he did fold, which is interesting. I'm going to make a note on him that he has that in his range to 4-bet fold, judging by his 3-bet stats. Although it's not that many hands, I still wouldn't expect him to have too much 4-bet fold going on. Checking for range protection with that hand, and then starting with a small bet on the turn. Maybe I could go slightly bigger. Here, I'm going to take a flop in the hope that I'm obviously in position against this guy, and also this guy could call behind, making it quite lucrative. He then jams and gets snap called, making my call look a lot more optimistic. I'm going to have not much of this, neither is he, but obviously we're folding the kings and aces. Yeah, it's interesting that that guy just called there. This is like the worst river I could possibly imagine. I should have 3-bet the nines. I was just concentrating on something else. I don't see how I could possibly be good here. I do block a flush, but other than that, it's pretty grim. Calling rivers at this stake is an interesting endeavor. Depending on the opponents, I don't see many of my I don't see many river calls being possible, but I don't think maybe people are bluffing enough at all on the rivers in these stakes. Went for value on the river and got a fold. This against this guy, I don't mind mixing between call and fold. And against this kind of player, I want to have much more value than I do bluffs, and that particular flop isn't the greatest for me, so I can just happily give it up. That isn't going to be where I make my money against that particular kind of opponent. Start with a small bet on queen, queen, 6. Defend this 5-7. Flop the nuts. Check raising, obviously. And fold to the check raise there. Terrible outcome when he checks behind. Obviously, you want to try and check raise that board pretty aggressively. Going to get loads of folds on this turn. And when he calls, we're going to polarize our range with an overbet. Pretty much saying I have a 5. And he had aces, which is interesting because he obviously did check back the flop. He doesn't want to get check raised, which is interesting. I don't know if I guess the big blind has quite a few of that kind of thing going on. I don't mind it at all for balance, but obviously when he takes that line, he does have to call twice. On almost every run out because he's so under repped. Gonna take a check back here against this guy's range. Is going to be he's going to have some of this going. Obviously, I don't want to just be calling the turn. Ace high still has a good chance of being good, and then probably folding this river, taking our check back, and winning. We 3-bet the ace king, got 2 folds, which is fine. I think I'm still on the point of running bad. I think I am still somewhere around 15 buy-ins below EV, which I don't love. But I keep seeing these situations that, like one you saw earlier with the queens against jacks, they don't even count towards EV. Those kind of things. Some absurd hands I've had recently that I've seen. So when you know you're doing things right, generally you just have to stay composed and keep making good decisions, and eventually you'll be okay. But it is kind of frustrating because I want to move up to 16 and L, and that's very difficult to do when you keep running into bad situations. I'm going to be taking a check back on this turn. Don't want to get check raised by two pair and stuff, straights. And then just calling river, hating life. Looking for value from a queen, which we probably got. We actually got called by sixes, which is optimistic as hell. Fold, fold, fold. Open the queen 10, get two snap folds. Love to see that. Turn. Well, he checked to me, which could be balanced with an ace. So I definitely expect him to have a lot of aces check there. When he checks again, I think we can still bet for value and then maybe consider checking back river if he calls again, depending on the river. Still expect him to call along with some king X. So, and I don't expect him to raise ace X without a boat in it or something. So, raise under the gun here. King high flop is generally good for my range. That's a very interesting decision from him on the turn. This is why I was thinking maybe checking back. He was maybe thinking, I think this can just be a fold exploitatively. I don't beat any value, that's for sure. Queen 10 of clubs I can beat, king 10 of clubs, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he just... Queen 10 of clubs obviously I don't beat. So yeah, I think this is just fine to fold. I'm going to be quite exploited there because I'm not going to have many better hands than that, which could make it a call, but against this player pool, I just don't see enough bluffs there. Backdoor diamond drawing 2 overs here. We can start with a bet. It's going to be better for our range than his, generally speaking. And obviously I'd prefer to have 2 ways to win rather than winning by checking back and hitting a jack or something against ace queen. I'd expect him to obviously call with ace queen and then we may be able to take it away from him on the turn. We've got a player with very small stack at the big blind here. We can, well, I was going to say we could 4-bet fold, or maybe call as well. I don't mind either. I would have maybe considered calling just because big blind had less chips than he was bad, so he might be more inclined to call along. Three betting with the ace king. I make it like 10.5, 11 big blinds out of position, and then like 7.5, 8 big blinds in position, depending on their raise size. If they make it 3x, then I make it about 9 in position and about 12 out of position. We can open the deuces from cutoff. Definitely fold hijack and under the gun, obviously. We get too many folds to be passing it. See, I'm looking to play 1,000 hands or something, maybe more, depending on how I'm feeling. This doesn't feel over. There's been a few situations where it's felt difficult to commentate and stuff, but I'm gonna just call against this particular opponent. I could 3-bet to isolate, but I don't mind letting other people in with when I have this kind of hand, and I don't particularly want to bump pots up for that kind of flop. But I do want to have a pretty wide isolation range there. Call the bottom with the king queen. Open 10s under the gun. can open Jack 9 as well from the button. It's close, but I think it's fine. Get a call from a bad player in this small blind. Much better for my range than his. If I'm going to be bluffing this flop, then I would just want to be betting bigger. Then I can just give up turns and then get more folds on the flop. Start with a call with the king of spades. And call a 3-bet with tens. Two pretty ugly situations developing actually. This guy looks fairly aggressive, so I think that calling turn is going to be in order as well. And obviously calling this flop with tens. Checking back my a7 pot control. And probably calling some rivers here with the king queen, depending on sizing from him. And we can go for a small value bet some of the time. He checks to me, and I'm going to bet the turn and look for a check back on the river. I'm going to bet this river value is pretty thin. I think he can have ace bit quite often, but he's not going to have too much ace bit, like ace small, considering he raised under the gun. So I should be fairly safe to value bet this hand. And protecting with my tens against like ace king and stuff is definitely preferable to me. He could have the best hand here and be taking his time. I don't think so. He might have had like tens or queens to be tank folding there. I think the value bet is going to be winning generally. Going to be 3-betting this hand against this opponent. Make sure you keep labeling, just in case these players get more than full. Then it's going to be really lucrative to play bigger pots against them. You'll know who's who. Going to try and get my fives to showdown against this guy in the big blind who has not very many chips. Folding to a pot bet very easily. Betting the turn here with a 6. Starting with a small bet on this board, going to get loads of folds here. Generally speaking, checking back and trying to get ace high to showdown afterwards. Calling here because this guy's going to call behind a lot, which gives me a lot of implied odds. Do block the nut flush draw here. And then we can just value bet against the jack here. He's going to check pretty often when he sees that river after I called the flop. Oops, I should have opened the 5-4. I do misclick sometimes. Like that's what I was talking about earlier with acting too quickly. I want to make sure I don't do that. Let me bring that bonus up I was talking about while I've got a minute. So I'm working towards an $80 bonus. I've never seen them do anything like this before. But basically you have to get, the rake's insane at this stake. So I shouldn't have too much problem paying this much rake, but yeah, I'm almost there to get $80, which is not bad at all. It's like the best they've offered. And unfortunately my deposit bonus on Run It Once just expired, so I'm not going to bother playing there anymore. Bet for protection with the 8s, fold Queen Jack unfortunately. Yeah, so this kind of guy that I've got labelled that has $30 is a huge mark for me. And this guy's yellow, which means he's not that I've seen him with less than full, but he's done something very questionable. Obviously, we're going to be 3-betting to our normal size here. I have no idea what's going on here, but it looks like we're just going to call. I want to start with a bet here, so we don't want to see the 9 of hearts or anything. I do feel like people check raise quite a lot on these. Not check raise. They do raise quite a lot on these boards. That's going to be a card that I don't love very often. So I think I'm going to check jam this turn, and then go for pure value on the river. Obviously he doesn't have any ace X because I have all that. He's going to have tens that are going to jam anyway, so it doesn't really matter against them, and I'm just trying to get value from smaller pairs than an ace. So I can't overbet, and then when he jams I have to call, and then yeah, I mean it's getting pretty unfortunate kind of hands that I'm seeing recently. He's definitely going to be jamming sets there that are worse than mine. Yeah, this is just absolutely sick, basically. And he should be betting the turn. Oops. He should absolutely be betting the turn here as well. So yeah, that's just disgusting. Yeah, I'm really a little bit frustrated about this kind of situation that keeps happening. Like if I brought up my database for the last 5 days and showed all the hands that have happened like exactly like this, like the other day where I had tens on like 10-6 deuce and it came an ace turn, he had aces on like a rainbow. Just like this, yeah, really hard to make money when this kind of thing happens a lot. And I don't like to complain, but you know, you have to keep going and stuff, but this is the kind of thing that I'm seeing way too often at the moment. Obviously everything that he did is fine. You could consider folding the flop. Obviously against a bigger size you'd be folding the flop, but I don't think I can bet bigger considering I lock the board up. Yeah, just very sick. Obviously very sick. Ace of clubs here. Gonna be checking I'm checking my whole range here. And again on the turn. And calling a bet obviously with a gut shot and a flush draw. And then just getting to showdown. I can't really represent any of this. And that's fine. Gonna check give up here against these two opponents that have less than 4. So yeah, 2 spots that have gone against me that, you know, would generally be going for me, which can definitely make a difference to your mentality and also obviously to your overall session results. And you just have to work through it and hope that eventually you're going to get somewhere. Playing overall good poker, which I hope that I am on the whole. Yeah, when that guy jams that river, he definitely has to do that with queens and tens. So I lose exclusively to, I think, pretty much only king jack, because he doesn't have jack 9 there ever when he raises under the gun and then calls a 3-bet. I mean, he shouldn't. He could, but he shouldn't. It's just very unlikely. So yeah, most of his range is going to be king, jack, tens, queens. And if you can ever beat someone's value range, then you need to be calling. Oh, obviously, I have ace. Not folding. Started with a bet for value. I'm going to check behind this turn. try to get my jack to showdown and probably not get there very often now. Don't have to call here. Can consider calling with a king maybe, and then with all my clubs. But people don't tend to play those pots very passively, and therefore everyone does have to play them quite passively. Sigh. I'm going to call with the sevens and then start with a call with the queen jack. Take this as a bluff on the turn. Don't have many worse hands here. Interesting. Easy fold. Could be good here with the sevens. Top left. Any bet is going to be a jack quite often. That's an overbet. Ace king on a dry board. I'd start small. Don't need a lot of protection. This guy is a reg. Expecting him to have exclusively a set of fives here. Size up on the turn. He just fold. Going to be betting that turn. With all my air as well. All my spade draws. Just a very good turn for my range and very bad one for his. So yeah, right now I'm just like trying to get past the run bad and get that bonus so that I can recoup. And just obviously the main thing to be learning and always trying to play A game. These stats do look nittier than normal, but like I explained, the pool is really nitty at the moment and very bad, so you don't need to look for as many spots as you used to have to look for. Fold to this turn bet. You're going to go for 1,000 hands. Still not sure about calling with small to medium pairs in the small blind, but against this opponent I just can't resist it. He's going to bet pot on boards like that. Get a call from the big blind here. Going to be better for my range than his. Small blind versus big, so I'm going to want to bet my range there. Calls very quickly, which I don't think he would do with the queen, so I think I'm safe to value bet turn. And that's pretty terrible river. I don't block a club. I'm going to be losing quite a lot when he bets river. He called two streets with a 10, which is reasonable, very reasonable indeed. It's definitely one of the hands that I beat, but definitely can't value bet against it. Exclusively playing my hand as a check call on that river, or a check fold, depending on the sizing and opponent. I don't know why this guy's red. I don't have a red, so just assume that was meant to be that. Calling in the big blind with the queen, 9 of clubs. Start with a check raise. I'm gonna have more sets. He shouldn't have threes, so he definitely has fives. But I prefer to win with queen high now than try and make a flush out position. When my range is fairly good for that board. I have like 5-3 and stuff as well, which he doesn't have. Get a call on the big blind from this guy. Gonna want to protect my hand, so bet slightly bigger. He's gonna have a 7x quite a lot and stuff like that. Not the best turn against the big blind. do think I need to continue betting and then maybe consider checking back rivers. Particularly this one. Probably can go for some value here. Yeah, very, very normal river. Yeah. 8-7 and stuff, I guess he can have a lot of 2 pairs there, so maybe I consider checking back the river, but I just prefer not for it to be an 8. It's going to be quite good for my range this board. And I have the King of Hearts, so start with the bet. Don't love it, but defend the 6-4. Pair. Start with a call. Bet this turn. Board's much better for my range than his, generally. I'm going to have all these little low cards, obviously. And he's not. Cool big one with King 10 of diamonds. Flop a gut shot. Guess gut shots are in order today, so we're going to float with the diamonds as well as the gut shot. Easy call with the ace 10. Don't bink. Interesting. And then river we have to bluff, unfortunately. Start with a small bet with the ace 10. We're not going to have many worse hands than king high here. This guy can definitely have like ace jack and stuff. So we're going to want to pot control this turn. And then obviously just get it in on this river if necessary. I think we might have to raise the value. Going for value from like ace jack and stuff, so, and maybe like queens kings. So the smaller side is better. Can't overbet here. If he raises me, I'll just vomit. He's not going to raise me. I was thinking about it with one of those hands that I was talking about. I just get called by them. 4 betting against this opponent here. Love to see you getting raised by this kind of guy when you have aces. We do get called by, I assume, was one of those hands. This looks a pretty normal board for me. Let me just have a look what you call this. Kings, yeah. Going to start with a small bet and hope to get jammed on. And then call, and then lose to king jack of diamonds. I have the ace of diamonds, so trying to induce jams from this guy. Yeah, I'm just gonna get it in here. Don't want to check turn. If I was in position, I would call. Looking forward to seeing what I lose to here. Yeah, seems about right. Diamond would be nice. Feel like I deserve that one. Unreal, honestly. Okay. Well, we're happy about that. Although it's still pretty insane that he also flopped another set. This is going to be oh, Jesus Christ. This is going to be a small bet all the time. He's going to think that this is quite bad for my range, but it's generally not that bad for my particular range, not that he knows that. I do have some of this stuff going on, and so does he. If he bets again, I'm expecting not to be good very often. Against the reg. I think we can just go ahead and let this one go without seeing a spade on the turn or anything that drastically improves my hand. Call again with the ace high spades. Interesting river bet. Gonna have like 8x and stuff and 10x and some 6s, so I don't think we need to call with ace high. Start with half pot, try and extract some value from hopefully Jack X or whatever he wants to float with. Get a call. Very poor turn for my hand. I'm not going to be betting here when I have like overpairs and stuff because of how much Jack X he's going to have. So I do need to check fold this turn. So yeah, we feasibly could have lost that one as well and been down 3 buy-ins, and that wouldn't have even shown up on my EV chart because I got it in effectively bad every time. Like in some cases, 100% dead. In that last case, I was like 20% or something. I don't know. So yeah, I just can't resist isolating this guy. Even though it's a bad hand, I just can't resist it. Bin position. I'm not saying I'm playing perfectly all the time and I'm getting unfortunate and yada yada. I should be up this amount of buy-ins, whatever. But say for example, I'm running 15 buy-ins below EV. So if I was running 15 above, then I'd already be at like 25 and L. So it's really frustrating progress wise. But I do have time on my hands with the quarantine and stuff, so just had to keep trying to improve. I'm not playing as well as I could still. I'm trying to watch videos every night and stuff, so hopefully I'll improve at a decent rate. And if I keep playing from what I can tell is winning poker for this level, these look really nitty, which I'm not thrilled about, but like I said, there's just so many bad players that there's so many short stacks that just mean that I have to edit how I'm playing. Trying to free bet get it in against Cheesy. That'd be nice. That's a good turn on bottom left. Yeah, he does call. That's good news. This is exactly the kind of result I was after. This is why we don't 3-bet as often, because we get called by this kind of guy. We're going to try and get him to jam, bet small, maybe call with like Jack X and stuff. Great. Perfect. We're just going in. Obviously, it has no relevance whatsoever. This is a great board for our hand, our range. King high boards are really good for the 3-better. He does fold, which is good. Maybe I could have checked back against his bluffs. Let him jam river, but I don't really want to lose to a flush that I let get there as well. Well, I think we can call here. Everyone's got lots of money. I think I might be the only one that has all the sets here. Could even represent them. But I don't trust the player pool to fold over pairs here, which this guy has pretty much always when he bets into 3 people. But he doesn't have any of the sets and I have all of them, which makes me want to, get a bit spicy. But I'm relying on someone to fold an overpair. I just don't like to do that at this stage. Finding myself getting into a lot of trouble with small pairs. There's 65 to win 155. I just don't think I can fold considering we both have 130 bigs. Start with a call. Obviously beat all of his high card combos. And now I'm dead as a stone. I think he pretty much has queens, jacks, kings, tens every time here. And again, I don't trust him to fold them. Could also have checked back an ace on the turn, very reasonably. I have no idea how there's 2-10 in here. I called a 3-bet, did I? This is terrible. Yeah, queens. I don't think he would have folded. Who's thinking about value betting? Yeah, that king queen hand, I wish I could have that back so I know what I actually did. Must have autopiloted pretty hard there. Maybe continue against this size, considering he can have like 10-9 and clubs and stuff. And obviously we have this turn. Gonna raise this river. Like I said, I have the ace of clubs, so you can't have the nuts. And he's likely going to be value betting a lot of his queens here. He has a lot of them. I don't think he's going to want to be calling very often with them here, especially against general player pool that generally doesn't bluff here, which hopefully should go in my favor. Thinking he probably definitely has a queen at this point. I'd expect him to fold that quite often, but I do bluff here a lot. General player pool doesn't. Start with a small bet on top right. I think I need to have some bluffs there because I can definitely have ace king of clubs, even king jack clubs. Like I represent a lot of flushes. Against 2.2, I think I can call with 9-8. Definitely folding to 2.5 and above. I'm just folding, check folding. Get a call from the small blind. With my aces. Call with the deuces. When this guy gets involved. Pretty happy about that. Calling the big blind with 6-7 of clubs. Could check raise this board. I have a feeling I'm going to be quite bluff heavy if I do, especially with this particular hand. For 10 cents, I think we can try and hit a set. Call the big blind with 4s. And now we can fold. Starting with a call here, I'm not going to have any raises on this board. If I was going to have any raises, it would be 4s exclusively, but then I have to find some bluffs with like 10-9 of diamonds and stuff, so pretty hard to balance. Rather just call and check raise this turn. Aggressively, and expect to, you can definitely have jack 9 and stuff, but I'm way ahead of his range. We want to size so that we can jam this river. Giving up this turn, loads of clubs involved here. Yeah, we're gonna go for all of it on this river. Again, he's gonna have aces and kings all the time. Ace queen, king queen. It's gonna have a very tough time folding. This guy called a 3-bet and he raised under the gun. I think he's not gonna do very well on this board. Yes, the reason I can overbet here is because he has like ace, queen, kings, and aces quite often. Call. 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 Damn it. Maybe I could have bet less, but I don't mind it. I think his range looks exactly like I described. I can have a lot of 2-pair, and I can have a lot of bluffs. Queen, king, jack of hearts that I've definitely raised and then jam river, so I can definitely do that with that as well. I don't mind it at all. Get mini re-raised here. Going for the 4-bet. Out of position, I don't really like to just... Fuck. I don't really like to just call out of position. Start with a small bet on this board. I can actually probably prefer to bet bigger here. This sucks. I think he can have 10s and jacks, which means I have to call, but I do expect to see kings quite often. I hope to win this. But purely because of his jam sizing, like he's like, oh, it just seems like he has exactly what he has because he's just like, oh, undercards, we're going in. So it could be just like any of them, but because he can have 9s, 10s, and jacks, I have to do it, and because he jams over a small bet for like I bet like 80 tonight, and he jammed for 9. It means he's going to be absolutely dreadful quite often, if not all the time. So I can't be folding queens, that kind of player. Almost at 1,000 hands, so we're definitely gonna start wrapping up here. Calling turn here with the queen 5, and then just side calling river and going for value here. Don't particularly like getting check raised, but we do need to bet against a 9. And that is 1,000 hands. So we're going to sit out on the next big blind. Rest my voice, play some Call of Duty Warzone. And maybe come back to playing later. But yeah, that was just a little glimpse into what I'm doing right now. Yeah, 19, 15, 6 is definitely nitty. But definitely winning against current pool of players, without a doubt. And I think I've just like automatically adjusted to how many short stacks and how many green players I'm seeing. I might be able to bring up my session on my poker tracker quickly. So I really don't like this here anymore. Let me just get rid of my taskbar. To the bottom. Right. Stop getting hands. So we want $8, which is pretty good considering how sick some of those spots were. Just have a look at this, make sure this is fine. 3-bet is obviously fine. Yeah, call. Small bet I like because I block a lot of his good hands. His call is, whatever. Check I like considering he's going to have like some bluffs, some takeaways he's going to want to do, and this is quite like a congested board, so he's going to have a lot of 2-pair and ace queen and maybe ace 10 and maybe queen 10 suited and maybe 10-8 suited. He checks back, and then bet calling river is just completely fine. I need to be right 28% of the time to win, which I definitely am against queens, 8s, and 10s, which all do exactly what he did. So that's fine. Queens, yeah, 4-bet, get it in against the fish. Yeah, I could bet small here, but honestly, what difference does it make? I need to protect my hand against yeah, fuck it. That's fine as well. And then the winning hands, yeah, that queen's hand at the end was lovely. Ace's hand where I binked the diamond was good. So yeah, I hope that was somewhat enjoyable. It definitely helps me when I do them, so yeah, I will continue to, hopefully in the future. Thanks for watching. See you later.